Okay, so I think we all have that like really creepy friend that we don't want around, but at the same time, like we keep them around because you feel bad for them, but the pity leads up to them being really weird and taking pictures of children, and you start questioning why, but then, I don't know, they end up being like a weird answer, and you know, overall, they just end up becoming like Diddy. Well, I've had one of those friends back in high school, and he actually ended up going to jail for being like Diddy. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy, but also really insane story. Now, this story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 11 year. Now, grade 11 is like the year where you basically like figure out your last final years of high school and how you want to be remembered. And obviously for me, I want to be remembered as the guy who was like the player of all players. Like I did the Devil's Tango and basically was popular. Kind of sad to be known as that, but to be fair, there was a lot of people that were known for worse. Like for example, there was one guy in our school, he ended up graduating being remembered as the guy who picked his nose. Like yeah, he was definitely a loser. But one thing was for sure was that growing up, especially my grade 11 years specifically, I wanted to make sure that I was remembered for being amazing. Anyways, I remember my grade 11 year, I was on my phone scrolling through TikTok one time until out of nowhere, there was a girl that walks up to me. Now this girl that walks up to me, she had like a little sister that knew my little sister and they were friends. So she would walk up to me and kind of like talk to me about like, you know, how life's going and stuff. And like, you know, basically how's my sister doing? Obviously I gave her the update, but I was never interested in this girl in the first place because she was kind of mid and also kind of chopped. But I remember as I'm like talking to her out of nowhere, I ended up seeing this guy in the corner of her classroom kind of staring into the classroom like a weirdo. Now this guy was not a new kid in our school. If anything, throughout the entire school year, he was already known to be really creepy and weird. Over time, I remember as he was like looking over at us, I ended up looking at him and kind of pointing him out to the girl that was talking to me. The girl looks over and she's like, oh yeah, he's just doing his thing, I guess. I don't know why, but he's been looking at me a lot lately. What do you mean a lot? I don't know, but he's making me really uncomfortable. When she said this, obviously I was like, yo, like that's weird. I'm gonna go like straight up just confront him because like what kind of guy does that anyway? So I walk over to the door and I end up seeing him kind of like running away. The girl ends up walking up behind me being like, yeah, don't expect to catch him. I don't know why, but like no one really talks to him. And when she said that, my curiosity peaked. And at that moment, my curiosity peaked because I wanted to figure out what was really going on with this dude. So at this moment, after homeroom ended, I ended up walking around the school, kind of just like casually looking for him and kind of like, you know, scanning the area for this creep. But then afterwards, I ended up seeing him actually sitting in the corners of like between like the lockers that I was like close to. And I walk up to him and I'm like, yo, like what you up to, man? Oh, nothing. Just kind of chilling out, you know, hanging out. What's going on, man? Oh, nothing. I was just like wondering, you know, you've been like kind of like looking around really creepy lately. Is everything good with you? What do you mean creepy? What are you talking about? Well, I don't know. Like people say like you've been like watching them and stuff. Like you good? Like why are you acting weird? And at this moment, he ends up going inside his backpack and pulling out a camera. Oh, I take photos for the school. You know, I'm kind of like, you know, taking photos for our final like last 2 school years for the senior year. I kind of just like, you know, look around and see what's up. Oh, so like, you know, you're looking around for taking pictures for the school paper. Yeah, actually, you're a really charming dude. Do you want me to take a photo of you? Oh, sure. Why not? So this guy ends up taking a photo of me. You know, I start posing and stuff. And in a way, I kind of like, you know, kind of felt glazed by him to the point where I was kind of like, okay, bet. Like, you know, this guy's pretty cool. So one thing leads to another. And I actually start appreciating this guy and being like, yo, man, if you ever need like help with like getting cool photos and stuff, let me know. When I said this to him, he was kind of like, I guess like starstruck or fan struck. I don't really know. But he looks at me and he's like, oh, wait. Really? Like you want me to like, you want to like help me with like the school paper? I mean, school, you know, thing that's going on? The school yearbook photos? Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, if you ever need help, just like let me know. I'll, you know, take you around the school, you know, just let me know if you need help. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. At this moment, he ends up walking away all excited, and I thought I did a good deed. But then the girl that was originally getting creeped on ends up walking up to me, and she says to me, oh, did you confront him? What'd he say? Oh, the guy's harmless. Don't worry about it. He's just taking photos for the school yearbook, is what I told her. And she looks at me kind of like, I thought the leadership students were doing that. I guess not. And I end up walking away. Now, this moment, as weeks went on, I started to realize that this dude was more creepy than I expected because he started going around places where I was at and started taking photos of me in random places. Like, for example, when I was eating lunchtime with the homies, he would just take a photo of us. You know, every time I was at my locker, just grabbing like a textbook or something, he would take a photo of me. And I started to feel really weird and realize that this guy was really taking it too far. So I remember during one of our school's basketball games, I was sitting on the bleachers just hanging out with some of the guys and a girl that I knew. And I ended up seeing him taking a photo of me and the girl. So I walk up to him and I'm like, yo, bro, like you're taking this too far with the photos. Like you can't only be taking photos of me, man. Like you're making it feel like, you know, I'm gonna be the entire yearbook. Oh, no, I just been taking photos like around like a lot of places where you're at because a lot of people, they try to stop me from taking photos. So if I'm with you, like you'll stop them, right? Yeah, sure, man. But like the camera's pointed at me a lot. Oh, no, it's just I have like an optical zoom lens thingy. And he starts like basically telling me like things about his camera that I didn't really understand at the time because I wasn't filming videos back then. So to be fair, the only camera I knew how to use was my iPhone camera. So I remember I just stopped him midway through his sentence and I'm like, you can take photos of whatever you want. Just don't be weird, okay? Okay, sorry. It's just I don't have a lot of friends and stuff and I don't really have someone to go through these photos with. And like, I was just wondering if you were down to like maybe like, you know, go through the photos with me. When he ended up asking me to hang out, basically, I ended up telling him how I was super busy and stuff and trying to find any excuse to the point where he said, oh, so like you just don't want to hang out, I guess? Do you think I'm a weirdo too? And that's when I told him, nah, man, you're not a weirdo. If anything, like after school, you know, I got to pick up my sister from middle school. So if you want to like, you know, come with me afterwards, go to my place, we can. Okay, yeah, that'll be cool. I'll see you in front of the school after school. So this got him excited and he ended up walking away. And at this moment, the girl that basically was watching the basketball game with me ends up coming up to me and she's like, oh, you been like hanging out with that guy? Huh? Nah, honestly, he's just some weirdo, but he's nothing. Don't worry about it. Let's just watch the game. And we ended up going back and watching the game. When after school came around, things got really weird because I ended up meeting up with him in front of the school and he brought his camera. Me and him started walking to the middle school that I used to go to that my little sister went to at this point. And as we're walking to the middle school, he ends up seeing a bunch of middle schoolers like kind of walking past us. And he starts kind of like acting really weird. By weird, I mean like he started looking at like the middle schoolers as if like, you know, they were like hot chicks or something. I don't really know why, but I ended up like basically like tapping his shoulder and being like, yo, bro, you good? Yeah, you know, just the scenery is really nice. Right, is what I told him. And then from there, I remember we finally got to the front of my sister's middle school and I told him, yo, stay here while I go inside and pick up my sister. Because obviously to get picked up at this middle school, you had to go inside the school and physically be a parent or a guardian of some sorts to take the student out of the classroom. So as I'm like, you know, going into the school and stuff, I pick up my little sister. My little sister, obviously, I love her to death. She's funny. She's cool. And me and her, we start heading out of the middle school and I start asking her how her day was and stuff. And then right as I got to the front of the middle school, basically warning her that I'm hanging out with this dude, my little sister's like, Bubba, where's your friend? You said you had one. Yeah, he was just here. Where'd he go? And at that moment, I started basically worrying because I thought maybe he went home or maybe he felt like I ditched him because I did take a minute to go pick up my sister. But then afterwards, I ended up hearing a bunch of little girls screaming in the school playground. I ended up looking at my little sister and she's like, that is not a normal scream. We should go see what's going on. So me and her, we ended up going to the school playground and we ended up seeing this weirdo that was considered my friend at the time taking photos of kids in the school playground. You guys are probably wondering like, oh, like what if he was just, you know, taking photos of the sky? No, he directly started aiming it at like middle school students and started taking photo of these girls. At this moment, I was like really like uncomfortable and I'm like, yo, bro, like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. I'm just taking photos of my classmates is what my little sister says. And I'm like, yo, like this is weird, bro. Like you shouldn't be taking photos of students. And it even got to a point where a parent ended up walking up to me and this guy with the camera. He ends up being like, hey, are you taking photos of my daughter? Oh, it's for the school yearbook. I end up looking at him and I'm like, yo, that's a same excuse you used for me when you take photos of people in our school. And like things were adding up, but obviously I wanted to make sure this parent was taken care of, and me and this guy and my little sister ended up going back to my place. When we went back to my place, I told my sister to stay in her room and I ended up taking this guy up to my bedroom and I basically straight up took the camera off him and I said, yo, what's in the camera? Oh, I haven't gone through it yet. Let me go through it first. No, what's in the camera? Show me right now. Fine, it's in the SD card, but you can't tell anybody. I ended up taking the SD card out of the camera and I put it inside my laptop and I started scrolling through the photos that he took over the school year, and 80% of them were girls, our teacher that had a really nice pair of, you know, and literally my little sister and her friends in the playground. At this moment, I remember punching this guy straight up in the face and I was like super upset knowing like what he was doing. And I started to realize that this guy was basically Diddy because he ended up telling me afterwards being like, yo, bro, listen, I'm sorry, man. Like, I didn't mean for you to be upset. Like, honestly, like, I don't know what it is, but like little girls just get me excited. Are you kidding me? Is what I ended up yelling at him. And I ended up punching him again. And actually I ended up like basically grabbing him by the shirt and dragging him out of my house. I told him that I will expose expose him for everything he's done and as weird as he was. Obviously, he ended up praying and basically telling me and begging me that not to do it. And I'm not gonna lie, I ended up destroying the camera and the SD card that he had. 2 weeks later, he ended up getting exposed online for being a child predator, even though he was still underage. But still, let's just say things were really weird. This just goes to show that people in high school can also be really weird and really creepy. And overall, just stick to the golden rule. When you're younger, 2 years older. Best rule to go by for when it goes to getting girls. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to click on one of the videos on screen right now and follow more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.